am back today, and I am finally hooking up my aux beam controller. Now, I want the aux beam controller to be somewhat accessible from outside via this window, so I think I'm going to put it roughly here. And then all of the housing and everything for the panel and switch controller will go in here. I'm likely going to just Velcro the relay box on top of the current battery because this doesn't heat up too much, neither does the relay box. So that's what I'm thinking for there. Now, for this current setup, I recently had a Renogy 100 hour amp hour battery, not Bluetooth, no BMS, no intelligent BMS, etc. I've since switched. I've switched to this Renogy 120 amp hour solid state battery. The reason why I did that is because this has far better cold performance. It's got a little bit more hours on it, obviously, and it has a BMS system that's Bluetooth, so I'll be able to monitor, the status of this battery as I use it. So let's get started, and I'm gonna get this put in. I'm gonna try to do the track lighting today, and we'll see how far we get. So the aux beam controller itself is mounted. I'm just using the 3M tape. You'll notice that this whole area is kind of just mix and mashed. I have some Velcro and stuff I'm going to put on either side. There's going to be patches and stuff, so it's not going to look as awkward. Obviously, I have my CO2 monitor and temperature sensor up here. But this is how it's going to look for now. There might be some other components down here electrically, but other than that, this is basically where it's going to start. So next I'm going to wire up the actual relay and place it inside here, get this hooked up, get the dome light hooked up, the exterior lights, and hopefully the track lighting. So stay tuned. Now, what might seem like a mess right now is because it is. I haven't, as I'm installing lights and everything, I'm testing it as I go, so that way I don't miss anything and things will work. But here's the dome light on the back, wired up. Now, one thing I need to mention is, even with this wired up to the aux beam controller, if I want to change the colors, obviously I have to come out here and I have to do it manually. But whatever position I leave it in, when I use the aux beam controller, it will turn back on in that exact position. So that's a good thing about this light. And then for under here, hopefully these strips stay. That's the under rail lighting that I've added. Now, I can't be honest, they are cheap. This cheap strip lighting from Amazon, but I actually like that. That looks good. So we'll see. We'll see how well this all works out. But I'm going to continue to work away at it here. I'm cutting out a lot of the just install wiring portions because it's very long, and we'll see how it turns out afterwards. So I've been working on this for a few hours now, and I've got the exterior lights hooked up. I've got the dome light back here hooked up and the track light. So once it gets dark, I'll show you those lights on. And I think right now, with nothing on, even with the aux beam ambient light on, I'm not drawing any power from the battery, which is fantastic. My cabinet, I'm going to need to work on a little bit, I'll be honest. I'm not a wire guy at all. So personally, I don't really care that there's kind of wires visible. I have a lot of the extra wire looms and stuff that I'm going to put the wires through, so that way it's less visible. Where the power is on the cabinet, I'll turn this camera around in a minute and I'll show you, but you'll see that it's fairly cluttered. I know that there's going to be lots of people that are like, it's cluttered. If it does the job and it's working and I don't have any issues with it, I'm literally just going to make sure the wires are up out of the way. I'll put them in looms, and it still gives me a sizable space for storage in that cabinet space. But other than that, I'm not too concerned with how the power management looks on the interior of the cabinet, because you're really only ever going to see it if the cabinet's open. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who are going to be like, oh no, you need to do this, you should have this, you know, put that there. And the battery is large. You guys would have seen that in the video by now, but I'm happy with it. Everything's working. Yeah, when it gets dark, I'll show you the under rail lighting that I've added. I think it adds a nice little touch. And you know, I'm going to wire loom all the wires out of the way, so you might see those in the video, but just know that those will be covered with a wire cover at some point. You're going to see in the cabinet the mess of wires. A lot of them are going to be put into wire looms or hide wires, so keep that in mind. But here's how I have it hooked up so far. I have my aux beam relay on top of the battery. It's just on there with Velcro, and then I have all my wires in this big metal loom that comes standard on the Yucca pack. I'm going to obviously make sure that those wires are in a hide wire or in a loom of some sort. This is the space I'm talking about. I still have a decent amount of space to store stuff, and it's not anything that's really going to bother anybody from the outside. I'm primarily going to be the only person that uses this, and so I don't really care that the inside has all of these wires. As long as they're mostly out of the way, I'm going to make sure that it's still a usable space. And, you know, even with this down, if I'm eating dinner here or whatever, I'm not really going to be too focused on looking at this mess of wires. Again, I have some wire management I'm going to take care of, but as of right now, this is what it's looking like. So let's go ahead and wait for nightfall, and I'll show you all of the lighting that I've done. Well, I would consider this dark enough to take a look at the lighting that I added, take a look at the dome light, and yeah, just kind of take a few photos and maybe a video of the interior. And tomorrow's supposed to be 16 degrees, so it is just gorgeous out here right now. There you go. That's what it looks like with the track lighting in, or the under track lighting or under rail lighting, whatever you want to call it. Then I've got the main dome light on. Nice and cozy feeling. Definitely worth the work today. I've made a few changes to the design of this. I don't want to say anything yet because I'm not 100% certain on it, but there's a very good chance that I'm still going to use this platform. I'm still going to use the mattress panel as the seat, but I'm going to modify it so that way I better utilize the storage underneath and potentially a fridge, so that way I have more space on this side to actually create something else. But we will see how that unfolds when I start working on the rest of it. So for now, this is hooked up, and I even have obviously my exterior lights hooked up again to the house battery, so that's good. Very happy about that. Don't mind the flickering, it's just the low power setting is, the wire for it is kind of fucked up, so something I have to fix. On the high power setting, I don't have to worry about it. The high power setting, it works on both sides without flickering or anything like that. So, but yeah, it's looking nice in there, and I'll show you what it looks like with just the track lighting. And here it is with just the track lighting. So you can see, still pretty bright. Lots of things that I'm still ready to do and going to do. I just need the time. And the good news is, it looks like the weather is starting to warm up, so a lot more of this is going to be done, and done quickly.